Good morning all to what is an absolutely blisteringly hot day in Barbados. Hope you're all well. Sorry for the late updates on videos and stuff like that, so if you're watching this one I do apologise. It's been a few days of mentalness, so I've not got round to having the time in the evening to upload and edit the videos. The pool. So we're technically today 407, day 407, which is in effect day, let me get this right, because they did a little bit on Saturday and a little bit on Monday. So I classed that as day 16. So we also did Wednesday because there was a day off on Tuesday because of the weather. So that would be 17. So today is technically day 18 of the pool build, but day 407. So where are we at the moment? Okay, well I'll show you in a minute on the camera, but the sun shelves are all done. The steps are nearly complete. The infinity edge is pretty much done and the trough has been plastered. So yesterday the guys came in on Independence Day, bless them. They worked into the point where it went dark. I even had to get them out the spotlight, it was that dark. So let me quickly show you from the camera what's going on. Let me quickly show you, hang on. Okay, right, so as you can see we've got the steps done. So the steps themselves, they pull them back very slightly from the edges, and they normally put a bit of, they say that they put normally a bit of grout in there to try and make it a white line so you can see the break of the step. I didn't want to do that. I actually wanted a dark blue. I wanted this one to be dark blue, I want this one to be dark blue, and I want them together. But they're not like that, so I'm sure that is going to play a little bit of OCD on my eye. As Jeff said yesterday, it will be twitching. The top one is not like it. This one's going to be like it, so it's like, oh. Anyway, so I suppose once it's grouted, I mean, once the grout goes on, it does look a lot better. But as you can see here, they had to cut those tiles there, and then here they filled that. They said they were going to be putting tiles in here, so that does look awful. So I'm going to have to talk to them about trying to rectify that bit. I don't want the pool being average, and that is just a massive corner cut. So they said they were going to cut tiles and put them in like they have down there, which I didn't want done, but they should have pulled that out to make sure the two tiles could butt together, and they haven't. So I think they're under the trees having a rest at the moment. But so we've got the 10 rows now. Obviously they trimmed this edge. I mean, it's not dead straight, obviously, the tiles poking out, but they trimmed that edge to get it to a point where it's 10 tiles. And I think what they did is they overlapped the 6 down the side, and then they recut the ones on the inside as they should be. And as you can see in here, we have the plaster now on the trough. But they did finish this in the dark last night, so it's a little bit rougher than it should have been, because they just technically couldn't see what they were doing. So I do feel for them, but at the same time we do have a little bit of a bumpy wall now, so we might have to look at that later on. And obviously they've done this side as well. Today they've been in here doing the floor, so I assume at the moment it's drawing, because that's not plastered flush at the moment, so they're probably letting that draw. But they've grouted all the way along. There was quite a wide gap here, but as you can see now it's been filled in. You can't really see it, which is quite good. I don't mind wide white edges as long as they don't stand out like a sore thumb. They've obviously gone along here as well, which is good. Obviously it's higher than here, so they'll have to obviously do this little piece here, and then they'll have to plaster this top piece in as well. But they've done that wall there, they've done this wall here. And I didn't actually see yesterday, they didn't do that wall, so they might have gone back and done that today. Yeah, so we've got a bit of a cracking going on here, so they're going to need to get that done. But yeah, they've plastered that part as well. So the inner and top, floor and front have all been plastered now. So they're looking quite nice. And the grey is actually sealing in quite a nice colour, I think you'll agree. So I think obviously it will darken with water going on it, but at the moment it certainly looks pretty good, that's for sure. Again, the edging in the UK and the US, we use sort of the U-shape trowels to try and get the edging nice and square. But they did this by hand last night, so definitely easy if they can try and find the corner trowels, that's for sure. A little bit of a mess down here needs to be cleared up as well. So yeah, at the moment obviously we're going to have to try and see if we can sort out the straightness of this wall a little bit, because that's going to stick out like a sore thumb. But within reason, everything else is in and grouted. All it's grouted here. They've got to finish off this piece from a grouting point of view. They've got to do the wall over here, this piece, and they've also got to grout in the side of the steps as well. So that needs to be done, but to a certain extent most of the actual mosaics and the tiling are in. You can see the height difference that we have on those tiles. I'm not too sure what they're going to do there, but you know, this is the floor height, so there's not a great deal they're going to be able to do with that. So I'll talk to them about what they intend to do. Obviously grouting all the way along there. I think if I remember rightly, the steps weren't grouted, so all this has got to be grouted as well. So all of this has got to be grouted, all the steps have got to be grouted, and obviously, like I just said, then we're going to have to do both sides. So yeah, disappointed with this bit here. I don't know what we're going to do here because they really have gone right in. I thought it was just the base, but it's not. They've actually tried to just leave it as it is. We can't leave it like that. So we need some tiles put into here, and we need this bit here done as well. When I questioned them about that, they said they were going to cut tiles like they've done here. I mean, it doesn't look great, and it is a pain in the arse to do. But it's better to have a tile in there looking like that than it is having that bloody great white edge. So I'll speak to them about whether they're going to rectify that. Our man Sherwin, after a day off yesterday, being Independence Day, he's in there doing the skirting board. So we did discover that the dampness we had on our skirting board in here was actually a dampness coming from here. So one thing we are going to have to do is we're going to have to try and scour around here and try and refill that with a waterproof cement to ensure that we stop the moisture going through. And that normally happens, by the way, when the masons they put sand down, because they like to throw plaster onto the wall rather than trowel it on the wall for some unknown reason. So when they splat it, it falls on the floor. So they put sand down to stop the cement bonding on the floor. But what they sometimes do, through incompetence or sometimes just by mistake, they allow the sand to go on the floor and they lay mortar and bricks on top of it. So the mortar doesn't stick to the floor because it's on sand. And we've had that problem in this building quite a bit. There was a guy that we used for a lot of the majority of the masonry work, and it seemed to be a common theme with a lot of his guys. So again, if you guys are having any masonry work done and people are putting sand down, make sure you're very cautious that they're not doing it out of laziness, and also make sure that it doesn't go on the floor underneath the blocks. Otherwise you learn that water can also just sip straight through. So it's always better to just put some second hand or some pre-cut ply on the floor, and let them go onto that. That way you can scrape it off and just move it along. It's got to be easier and less messy and more effective than putting sand down, especially if people can't be trusted to make sure the sand doesn't go underneath the block. You should always sweep away. And again, in England, we would probably score into the floor and then put some form of weldcrete down, especially when it's a polished floor, and then we would put the mortar and the blocks on top of that. But yeah, unfortunately, this building in particular, certainly on this front wall, we've had quite a few problems, as we have in the corner over there as well. So anyway, just make sure, sand, get rid, and certainly make sure to a certain extent that if, try and get guys that actually trowel the plaster on rather than slapping it on. It really is a messy way of doing it, and they lose so much. The guy that did the actual plastering inside the pool here, and also the front edge, again, same thing. He was on a trowel and he was literally troweling it up. There was hardly any splats on the floor, which means he lost hardly anything. So again, also on top of that, hardly any clearing up. Certainly not obviously trying to dictate to qualified masons how to do the job, but in England we use hawks, or just we obviously get it onto the trowel and we trowel it on. So there's very minimal loss and very minimal mess, and you don't really need a great deal of sand on the floor to protect the floor in the first place. But as you can see down here, another potential weakness there. Look. So there's one there, we filled one here already, and again, this is where I think it's coming in around here somewhere. So it is going to be a bit of a disc grind out, clean out, with a wire brush, and then try and get some new product in there to ensure that we stop that. In the meantime, the skirting board's been taken off inside, and we put a PVC skirting board on there just so that we don't get the damp issue. But that's not to solve the problem, that's just to make sure that we don't have the same blown skirt board problem moving forward. But what Sherwin has done in here, which I don't think you'll be able to see, because it's probably on by now. Oh yeah, look. So Sherwin actually replastered all the way along, and has repainted, and then that's going to be going back on again. So that's where we are within there, and we've made quite a nice dent on the pool. As much as we've had a few obviously misfires. I mean, obviously Friday we only had 4 hours, Saturday we had 4 hours, and Monday we had 4 hours, and then Tuesday we had rain. So it has held us back a little bit, but yeah, we made a nice little start on it. There you have you. So yeah, now it's just literally, it's finishing off the grouting, tiling, and then hopefully I'm going to try and hope that on Friday they're going to start with the pool blue, but they did mention Saturday, so I don't know if that means they're not going to be around on the Friday or not. But if we can try and get Friday and Saturday done, then we might get, with a full team, get the whole thing blue by then. That would be nice. I'll also, in a second, I'll also open up the pump room and show you what's been put into there as well. Okay, so we're inside the pool room. So we're going to have to get some of this moved, because we're going to be putting a door in here. So on this wall here, we're going to move this light conduit over, and we're going to put a full-size door on this wall going out that way. As you can see, the pool contractor's been in and started installing some of the main pipe work. Obviously not finished off yet, obviously, but it's getting there. There's our little pool pump. And then there'll be a big filter that goes in here, and over towards this door, if not outside, there'll actually be the heat pump itself, because it's actually a heated pool. So as and when it falls down in temperature, then that will kick in and obviously put some heat into the water. This one here obviously is going to potentially where the filter is going to connect to. This one is actually pulling the water from the actual the trough and pushing it back into the pool again via the jets. So this is what connects, as far as I'm aware, some of, if not all of the 6 jets we have outside. So one thing we do have to do obviously is stop this water coming in. And at the moment I'm pretty confident it's coming straight through that bloody door. As you can see, it's damp up there. But I say, until we physically get a doorway in here, we can't do anything else. So it's all pretty damp in here. So the sooner we can get the electrician out to move this conduit here over, in an ideal world, we can just get it taken up here and connected up. Then it gives us pretty much from this electrical unit that way to put the door in. And the door I'm going to get made is going to have louvers on it as well, so it's going to be able to breathe. And then we're going to punch a 4-inch hole in this wall, just so we can actually get the whole thing breathing, because it has to breathe, otherwise this is going to last 10 minutes, as with everything else. So yeah, it's a door going in here, louver windows on it so it can breathe. If I can try and get a way of keeping the heat pump in here rather than take it outside, I will. But apparently people don't like to do that. And again, some of them were driven airflow coming through this wall, either a 4-inch hole or something bigger. But I do need Sherman to get this water out of here, because otherwise it's just going to keep getting damp. But yeah, we've sealed all the way around here now, so it's just coming through. As you can see, the water in here, it's just coming straight through underneath the lid. So we're not going to stop it, so we just need to get rid. So the best thing to do is to, unfortunately, probably just glue this together and put this in and bolt it down and be done with it. And down here, obviously, put the door on this side. Now, a bespoke door in aluminium with louvers on it is working out about 3,500 for Moran. But I think if I get the gate guy to make one, it should be coming in around sort of 12 to 1,300, but it won't be as fancy, but as long as it does the job, it's the main thing. And let's face it, it's not a main house door. It just needs to make sure it can keep the elements out and security-wise, as long as it's able to be locked and secure, that's the main thing. So we'll get the water out of that today, and get the electrician out to try and move some of the bits and bobs so we can get that door cut. And then we can obviously get Dion to make the door frame, get it fitted, and then we can start accessing it from downstairs rather than here. And then that should stop the water coming in. Next. Anyway, I'll check in a bit later on and see how things go. But tomorrow, by the way, just to let you know, the pool contractor said tomorrow's going to be, finishing all this off today, tomorrow's going to be jet washing, everything preparing for Saturday, and Saturday's going to be the big plaster. So we'll have a blue pool on Saturday. Fingers crossed. Okay, so we're on target. The guys are grouting on that side. Steps are being grouted. Sun shelves been grouted. And the trough is nearly finished. So yeah, all looking good. The floor's been done, but the floor in there has to be reasonably rough. It's going to be perfect. Bear in mind that we're going to be filling it with water. Have a look. Could have been smoother, obviously. So we're looking alright. So apart from here being a little bit, everything okay. Trim those pipes back later on. Probably put something a little bit nicer looking at that anyway, just so that obviously it's got to be functional, but don't want it actually looking like a waste pipe. So we'll put something on those. Getting a bit of marking in here. I don't know what that is. It's normally rust. So hopefully it's not, that's for sure. Looks okay. So a couple of bits just need to shave down with a sander, make it look nicer. This outer edge is a bit, But anyway, we'll sort that out. Also got some cracking going on here, so it seems to be damp on that wall. But for some reason that's dried quite slow and it's cracking, so there's obviously something going on with that. Hopefully it's not the pipe, the down pipe. We've already marked out where we're going to be drilling on here as well, so the 4-inch hole that we're going to be drilling through here is going to go there. I might be a little bit, I mean really what I should do is go and hire the tool from Williams and drill it nicely, but I am contemplating just doing the hole and just drilling loads of holes and banging it through. But if I get a hole cutter, then at least if I hit some steel, it'll go straight through and it'll make it nice. So I may get that one done properly. The return has obviously been done as well, so all that's going to be done here. The side has been tiled, this side's been tiled, that little bit there's been tiled, and they're just in the midst of obviously grouting all of that. And what we discussed on here is potentially trimming this top tile off and just doing the top piece in the grey plaster and just smoothing it into here. So yeah, we might just do that, box that in the grey plaster. Same on the other side as well. We'll just cut those top ones off, and we're only 1/4 inch, so yeah, maybe 1/4 inch on the top and then 1/4 inch over. I think that's what we're doing here. With regards to the door in here, one of the issues that we found today is that we're actually lower in here than we are on the floor out here, so we're about 3 inches higher out here than we are in here. So what we're going to have to do in here is come up by 3 inches and another 6 inches to ensure that any water that lands up flooding out here doesn't come in. So that obviously then gives us an issue in height. So we were going to go for a standard door in here, but it looks like we're going to be capped at about 6 foot. So we'll go 36 and a half inches width, but we're going to have to go to 71, 72 inches in height. Otherwise, we're going to be on the floor down here and risk water coming in if it ever does flood. I've not seen it flood here, don't get me wrong. But if it does, and I've not accounted for that, then I'm going to be in trouble. So I don't really want to be taking that risk. So we'll get Mel, the electrician, to remove the conduit on the wall, move the light conduit over to the other side, and then we can get that hole drilled and get the door put in. Dion's going to start making that quickly. And on that note, Dion mentioned today, actually on a job, he was recommended by somebody to come out and measure up, and the guy said, what's your name? He said, Dion. He said, Dion, do you know Alvin? He said, yeah, I do work for him. Why? He said, I saw you do one of his gates and that lot on YouTube, and he highly rated you. So nice to see that that's actually working. But yeah, if I say on here, I recommend somebody, trust me, I do recommend them. It's good tradespeople are hard to find around the world, and when people do a good job, they do need to be talked about and promoted where possible, especially on an island like here where it's very hard to try and find good tradespeople because there isn't a Google or a website presence here. It really is a little bit behind when it comes down to the tech side, so you really are relying on people's word of mouth. That also means that people that don't do a very good job can slip through the net and also become part of that. So really good, really important, I think, to talk about good tradespeople to ensure that they keep on getting good work, as well as it is to sort of name and shame to a certain extent people that don't do a very good job, because you don't want to see people go through the same pain that you've been through. But yeah, Dion, really, really good guy, turned up today and sorted out the manholes, the 3 that were left, is measured up for the door here, has measured up for the he's going to do the railing here coming into the pool for me, and he's also going to look at the ladder, the step ladder to come out the other side, and he's going to do that in nice square stainless steel for me. So yeah, anything you want done like that, anything that's bespoke that you want done, Dion is your man. Sherwin's been busy today, obviously in here sorting out the skirting boards and stuff like that, so I think he's nearly finished on that, which is good. Grouting is finishing here. Hopefully they can finish the grouting tonight. That means there is 0 grouting to be done, and then tomorrow is all about cleaning up. It's sweeping up, it's jet washing, it's preparing for Saturday's big blue plaster. Woo. These guys do it for a living, I'm sure that doesn't faze them, but where I'm concerned, bright blue plaster being mixed up here is always a bit of a concern anyway, but I think once it's on and it's all tidied up, it'll be amazing. Can't wait to see it. So that's going to be taking place Saturday, so tomorrow's really going to be about, as I say, jet washing, preparing, de-dusting, de-gritting, getting rid of the water out, getting rid of anything that we don't need off of the actual the patio area itself, getting prepared for Saturday. So hopefully, I would assume there's going to be sort of 6 to 8 guys here on Saturday, because I assume they're going to want to try and get it on and get it done and dusted. Now they have talked about tomorrow potentially building something where they can actually get some poles up so we can put some form of shelter over, because the sun makes it dry out really quick. So really what we should be doing is getting the pool damp and making sure we're applying to a damp, you know, not a soaking wet, but a damp surface to ensure it doesn't dry out so quick. As you saw on the brown, you know, you're getting cracks there. You can't have cracks in this stuff, so it's got to be moist. So if they can try and put some form of shade over to try and keep away the main sun, that's the main thing. And then it probably needs a couple of coats, I would have thought. So it'll be applying one coat, letting it go off, and then another coat a couple of days later. That's what the video says. So I'll ensure that definitely takes place, because that's we need to make sure we've definitely got the right thickness on there, and we get as waterproof as possible. Then it's just obviously the pump guys coming out and finishing off, putting the heat pump in, connecting up all of the actual jets and the drains, etc. I think there's been a couple of issues with some of the drains. And we've got a box here somewhere, I don't know where it's gone, but there's a box here of parts. It's probably underneath here somewhere. But those parts are essential for the, oh, there is over there on the side. So we've got some of the actual, the light and the jet couplings of some sort, so they need to be installed. So I think Bruce from Pumps and Mechanical is coming out to finish that off at some stage. Yeah, can't come soon enough. Looking forward to it. But anyway, I'm going to leave you to it. It's 20 to 5. As always, any form of thumbs up below, comments, subscriptions, more than happy to take those all day long. And thanks for the comments I've had so far. Looking forward to getting this finished. Take care.